Have you ever found yourself explaining something to someone and then explaining it again because they still don't seem to understand? You start with, "That's not how I meant." Then you add more context. Then you explain why you said it. Then you give examples. And before you know it, you've written a whole essay defending a sentence that probably only needed 3 lines. If you do this often, here's something worth considering. You may not actually be trying to communicate anymore. At this point, you may be trying to control how the other person sees you. These are two very different things. Let's say a friend invites you to something, an event, right? You could simply say, "Sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it this weekend, but I hope you have a great time," right? Simple enough. But instead, you find yourself explaining how busy you've been, how much you actually really want to come, why you couldn't rearrange things around, how you hope that they don't think you're avoiding them, and so on and so forth. Why? Because somewhere underneath all of this explanation might be a fear of, what if they think I don't care about them? So you're not just communicating your decision, you're trying to make sure that they interpret your decision correctly. And this can happen in relationships, friendships, families, even at work. Sometimes over explaining is connected to rejection sensitivity or even people pleasing. If being disliked, rejected, criticized, or misunderstood feels particularly uncomfortable, your brain may start treating other people's perception of you as something you need to manage, right? If someone misunderstands you, quickly fix it. If someone seems disappointed, explain. Someone criticizes you, defend yourself. If someone doesn't agree with your perspective, give them more information until they do. The problem is that you can communicate clearly without being able to control the other person's response. And that's where over explaining can become very exhausting, right? Then there's also a connection between over explaining and self worth. If you feel like you need to be seen as good, reasonable, considerate, competent, easy to deal with, being misunderstood can feel like a lot more than just a communication problem. It can feel like a threat to your identity. You might think, what if they think I'm selfish? What if they think I'm a bad friend? What if they don't respect me anymore? So you keep explaining because you believe that if they just understood your intentions, everything would feel okay again. But unfortunately, you can explain yourself perfectly and someone can still misunderstand you. They might still disagree with you. They might be disappointed. They might interpret your behavior differently than you intended or than how you intended. And sometimes someone may simply just not like your decision. You really can't control that. So, what do you do instead? First, ask yourself, have I actually communicated clearly? Have I said, presented, shared what I actually wanted to? If you have, you don't need to add another 5 paragraphs or a TED talk to it, right? Instead, you can simply just say, "That's not what I intended." Or, "I understand how you may have experienced it differently, but that's not how I meant it." And then stop. You don't have to build a whole case for every feeling or decision or boundary. Secondly, ask yourself, am I explaining because this person needs more information or because I need them to approve of my explanation? Then, third, practice tolerating the discomfort of being misunderstood. This is probably the hardest part. Yes, right? You may have to sit with, they don't completely understand me. And that's okay. Without immediately sending another message, without replaying the conversation in your head for hours, without trying to fix their perception of you. Try to remind yourself that I know what I meant, I communicated clearly, and I don't have control over how someone interprets me. That's not poor communication. That's you recognizing the limits of your control. And we all have that limit of control. None of us can really 100% control how other people see us, interpret what we say, or perceive us and our views, right? Then there's one more question that I would encourage you to ask yourself as well, right? It's, what am I afraid will happen if this person doesn't understand me? Because the answer to this particular question may tell you a lot more about the over explaining habit than the situation or context itself. Maybe you're afraid they'll leave. Maybe you're afraid they'll be angry, or that they'll think you're selfish, or that you'll disappoint them, or that, they'll realize you're not as good as they thought you were. Once you understand the fear underneath the behavior, you can start working on the actual problem. Sometimes the goal isn't to find the perfect explanation, right? It's simply to be secure enough in yourself to say what you mean, listen to the other person's perspective, and then accept that you can't control the rest from there. You can be a good person and still be misunderstood. You can have good intentions and still make mistakes. You can disappoint someone and definitely still be worthy of love and respect. You don't have to prove your goodness every time someone sees some things differently from you, right? So I'm Idara Brown, a clinical psychologist and founder of Brown Psychological Services. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, therapy can be a useful space to understand what's happening underneath all of it and develop healthier ways of relating to yourself and other people. If you'd like to learn more, I'll put the link in the description below and you can click that and find out more information. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.